In October, Jane and I took a trip to Prague, and then after a week in Prague, we went down to spend time with Patty in Italy. In Prague, this is where our hotel was, a Hotel Metamorphosis. You can did a little clip here, shows the little square where our hotel was, about a block or so from the Old Town Square. There were little stores around here. They had a cafe, the Cafe Rembrandt, where we could stop and get some pastries and have a drink. That little tunnel there is where you head through there out to the Old Town Square. We were right behind the church, which you'll see from the Old Town Square pictures. So we'd leave our hotel and wander down this little roadway, and then it would open up into the Old Town Square. It's a big square, has this statue in the middle of it, and it's surrounded by these beautiful buildings on all sides. Here, if you look in the lower right-hand corner, that was a government building which was bombed the last day that the Germans were in Prague during World War II. They never rebuilt that building. This is the church that is right next to our hotel. And we used to sit in some of these little places and have a drink and watch the world go by in the square. The astrological clock here, people gather every hour to hear the clock chime. There are little people up there on the sides of the clock that move around during the 12 o'clock or during the hour ringing. Here are two of the four people. Also, there's a guy up top of the tower that blows a trumpet when the clock goes off, and everybody in the square cheers. So it's a big thing. I took a video of the square while I was there. You can see it's always full of people. They have musicians, they have, well, they got everything. It even had some brides the day that we were there. Well, that church is actually sideways. The length of the church is like you walk in the door, and one end is the back of the church, and to your right is the altar. There's the place where the guy plays the trumpet at the sounding of the clock. And some people down here in the square all cheer. Jane and I, every once in a while, would sit down and have a beer or a glass of wine at one of these little outdoor stands. So we head from the Old Town Square to the Charles Bridge. Charles Bridge is, hundreds of years old. It's a big gathering place for people. That's the St. Vitus Cathedral up near the palace on top of the hill. We walked up to that. You can see these old statues. They're dark. I thought they were dirty. They're not dirty. They're limestone, and some of it turns to rust, and that's why they get to turn black. And you can see they're replacing some of these statues one by one, and here's a replica of the old statue that has been put up. And I got up one morning, and this is sunrise on the Charles Bridge. I did take a recording. Unfortunately, my finger is over the top of the lens there. Didn't realize that. This is Talava River. And you can see it was fall. The leaves are starting to change. We had good weather. Temperature pretty much in the 50s, be a little bit overcast. One day we had a little bit of rain, but not too much. On the bridge, you can see you had people selling stuff. You had musicians. You have food. It's a lot of fun. A lot of things to do.
And statues.
We could walk everywhere in Prague. We walked up to the palace. There's the guards out there. Took a tour through the palace, and then leaving the palace, there was a garden out back. That's St. Vitus Cathedral. The leaves were just changing, and you could stroll through this garden. Then we took a hike up top this hill called Petrin's Hill. I went back the next day and got these pictures of Prague from there. You can see the river. They have the tourist boats going. Now, I did run into a problem up top this tower. As you'll see from this video, there happened to be a school outing going on at the same time.
This is my quiet walk up the tower, overlooking Prague. There's Prague. There's another school out up there.
There was a canal right next to the river, and you can see that water wheel back there. There's also a bridge back there. On that bridge, it's like the Lovers Bridge. There are hundreds and hundreds of locks with people's initials on them. I guess that shows how they're bound together. Here we have Lisa and James's lock. Now, we also went to this square, the Wenceslas Square, I guess it is, and this is where the revolution took place in the 90s when Czech broke away from the Soviet Union. This place was filled with hundreds of thousands of people at that time. It's like the Champs-Élysées. This is the building where the Prime Minister came out and gave a speech that we're now free of from the Russians. It's called the Velvet Revolution. Couldn't help but take this picture in that square. Here's this woman. She's got crutches, but she's got her high heels on. They also have a Jewish quarter there, a Jewish ghetto where the Jews were segregated from the rest of the community for hundreds of years. This is their graveyard there. They had so little land there that they had to just put dirt on top of the different graves. And so there was burials 12 layers deep of Jews that were buried in this ghetto. We also took a tour learning a lot about how the Germans were obviously terrible to the Jews there in Prague. Took day trips. There's a little castle outside of Prague, about 30 minutes. Then I went back for a second day trip to this place called Kutnahara, where they have this chapel with all the decorations made of human bones. Weirdest place I've ever been to. I mean, they made chandeliers, they had light fixtures, they had piles of bones. It was unbelievable. The bones were from the plague, and it was meant to show how temporary life is. Anyway, that was pretty weird. We would stroll around Prague all the time. They did have a number of these beggars. You would see them everywhere. They'd be down on their knees with a little hat there to put the money in. There are stands where you could stop and get snacks. This is their potato chips here. You can see these little spirals. They cook them right there at the stand. We also went out for a real nice dinner at the Paris Hotel, the Sarah Bernhardt restaurant. That was kind of our splurge for the time there. But basically, we would stroll around. We could sit down and have a beer, watch the world go by, have a nice snack. Prague is a great, great place to visit.